good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Kevin Butenoff, coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Busy show coming up for today. After the 9:30 news, Liz Pancotti from Groundwork Collaborative is going to join us. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving prices.
Yes, and a really eye-opening report that was done, that we were given for our prep, that shows that no matter who says it, when you crunch the numbers and all the data, the prices are going up. The prices of Thanksgiving items have gone up.
Yep.
And that is a problem for regular Americans like me and you.
Liz is going to join us after 9:30. Next hour number 2, Dr. Gabriel Velez is going to be joining us. And we're going to talk about teens and technology. It's such an important conversation, and especially the day before Thanksgiving when half of the table will be on their phones the entire time.
Yeah.
What are they doing on those phones? And is it good for them?
That and more questions from Grandma Jane coming up in the second hour.
You kids.
I'll say this right now because this is a funnier story. And this is actually a very important topic we're talking about, especially in light of things like the cell phone ban coming through for Wisconsin schools and just basic concerns about technology, not just honestly for kids, yes, but for everyone, I feel. But my mom used to be a very big, like, get off your phones, get off your phones, get off your phones. Why are you on your phones? Like constantly. And we're like, this is just kind of what life is now.
This is what we do.
And if we talked all the time, disconcerting. One time I got her on her iPad. She was on her iPad and we were all I'm like, get off your iPad, get off your iPad, get off your iPad.
Mom.
Why don't you love us? Why don't you want to talk to us?
So we're going to talk about teens and tech and us and tech.
Yeah.
In hour number 2. For the last half an hour, we will lighten it up as we always do with Audio Sorbet, where we take a breath and get away from the harder news. The creator of Mousetrap and Light Bright has died.
Didn't he do another one too? Was there?
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
That was a weird game.
It was a weird game. He has passed away at the age of 99, so we started talking about the kids we loved, the toys we loved playing with as kids.
Yeah.
And if you have kids or grandkids, other than technology-related stuff, what do they play with?
Yeah.
Genuinely curious.
Yeah, we'd love to know that. We'd love to know what are the youth doing today? And we'll be consulting with our resident young person, Calvin, although you are starting to graduate out of resident young person, Calvin.
He's approaching, 30.
You're approaching that age of, I didn't know you were that old.
We will wrap up the show also, as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, we're just calling this That's Revolting Edition.
I'm trying to remember now. There's so much happening. Hold on. Let me look at the story.
Unless you think of something else.
No. I mean, I trust you.
Yeah,
you are an award-winning journalist.
I'm not a journalist.
Did you never won an award for journalism?
No.
Okay. Well, you're an award-winning and legendary voice of radio who's leaving us in 2 weeks, retiring.
So 2 weeks from Friday.
So be here for the next 2 weeks. We're gonna have a lot of fun. A lot of people. What's it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Revolting Edition. Yeah, it is Thanksgiving related. So if you can stick around for that, please do.
Yeah.
Also, just another reminder: if you have not yet downloaded the Civic Media app,
I haven't, Jane.
You can't play.
Jane, you know what? Okay, listen to me. Listen to me right now.
Yes.
I understand that I'm not allowed to win any prizes in the Text to Win contest for what I hear one is coming very, very, very soon.
Very soon.
I understand I can't win. Unfair. But also, what if I just want to check out, the stations we have around the network or news stories or things like that? Can't I get the Civic Media app?
Everyone can get the Civic Media app. It is
absolutely free.
And it is going to be the way that you are going to enter our next multi-state Text to Win contest. Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
Grown-up gift list. Text to Win contest starts on Monday.
Gift number 1, peace in this house. Number 2, please put things back where you found them. That's
put the glass in the dishwasher, not the sink. That would be on my wish list.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we got great prizes. For one thing, it's a chance to text in and win $200 in cash.
Cash, folks.
Cash money. And then
Hard, cold cash.
Grand prize include a snowblower, stainless steel cookware set, and a portable air conditioner. Some pretty nice stuff.
Oh, boy.
So just make sure you download the Civic Media app. Wherever you get your apps, download the Civic Media app so you are ready on Monday. Once you download it, you pick your station wherever you are. Could be WAUK, could be WRJN, could be WISS, whichever. And then we're going to have numerous times over the course of the day for you to enter. There will be a keyword.
Yes.
And you want to text in that keyword. Goes on for 2 weeks. Lots of chances to win. Many chances. So
many chances. Sorry. Couldn't help it.
So many chances. Coming up on Monday. Also, just a little reminder. If you live in the Ashland area, and I know our friend and colleague Tony Zimmerman is up there. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
They are under a blizzard warning.
Yeah.
They're looking at snow today before 4 o'clock, until 4 o'clock, 5 to 9 inches.
Sheesh.
Tonight, they're looking at less than half an inch, but they've got gusting winds. We have the gusting winds around here. They're gusting up to like 35 miles an hour. If you are heading out of the roads, a lot of people are going to be traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday. 511 WI.gov.
It's a website, and it is an app as well.
Yep.
You can download it directly to your phone after you download the Civic Media app. And the great thing about 511WI.gov is that you can not only see where there are road closures, you can see where there's construction.
You can pick and choose.
You can pick and choose. You can also view various camera angles from around the state. So if you are looking to see what's going on, check out your route, you can actually pull up camera footage and see where it may affect you. But 511WI.gov is a fantastic tool.
It is.
And get it on your phone or your device. It's so helpful.
It is, and it's free.
It's free.
So, and I'm just looking at 511WI.gov right now. We've got a couple things. One thing around Madison, one thing around Janesville. Surprisingly, no accidents reported again in northern Wisconsin along Lake Superior, which is where they're really getting socked right now. But please be careful if you're when you head out on the roads, and refer to that 511WI.gov. It is a great resource.
And we've been inside for a few hours now. I haven't been outside, I should say, for a few hours. But southeastern Wisconsin, especially in Kenosha, we're getting hit pretty hard with wind.
A neighbor lost a tree.
Next door neighbor tree was blown down out the roots, like just out of the ground. Nothing else. Everything else is fine. From what I can see, her car wasn't affected.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, I mean, this was powerful enough winds to knock down a tree that is not super old, but also not super young. So just, the weather is changing. We're coming into those days. I'm not going to get in the climate change discussion, but it's all affecting in different ways. But just be careful, be aware. 511WI.gov is a great place.
Of it.
And we also have great meteorologists here at Civic Media doing great work. So just stay up to date and be safe.
Yeah, be safe. We want you to have a good time. Greg texting in on the live stream. The wind is windy today. It is very.
Everything is windy.
We could
is that
have
a song?
Less bluster would be nice, but just be careful when you're out there.
The blustering is flusterating. See what I did there?
It did.
It's frustrating.
Work on it. Everybody's a critic.
I'm leaving.
Everybody's a critic.
I'll be back tomorrow for our live show.
We wanted to spend a little time on this.
Sorry.
This from Wisconsin Public Radio. Joe Schultz has the byline. Foxconn planning $569 million expansion in Racine County that could create 1,300 jobs. Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation offering up to $16 million in tax credits to support this expansion. That will bring the total contract to $96 million. We still trust Foxconn?
Yeah.
We do?
Well, no, okay. When I said yeah, that was more of a yeah. I think that no. It's a I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
And I do believe that under the leadership of the current WEDC, which no longer has Missy Hughes as the head, but she did a wonderful job of fixing that
agency
place that did not exist until Scott Walker came in office. Sorry. I feel like what they can do is bring a little more. I mean, this seems more feasible than what Foxconn was coming in originally. Like they were like, we were going to save the region.
Well,
this is going to be the thing.
The seventh wonder of the world.
Yeah, and they really just wanted to get those gold shovels in the ground, and then everyone sort of just walked away. But I'll believe it when I see it. I'm hopeful, and they've already got the land, so let's see what they can do. But again, if it doesn't work out, I will not be surprised, because Foxconn has a long celebrated history of duping municipalities in America.
They don't have a good reputation.
No.
They don't. Wedeck says Foxconn will expand Wisconsin manufacturing footprint in Mount Pleasant and create more than 1,300 jobs, which would be great, including factory and office workers. Foxconn says it makes artificial intelligence servers in Mount Pleasant, because we haven't even been sure what they've been doing down there. At first, it was going to be big screens.
Yeah.
And then that went away.
Well, I think it's an all-purpose thing, honestly. Like, I will say this. In my former years as a barber, I remember cutting the hair of a gentleman who was in charge of the facility of Foxconn, and he said that they had got up and running sooner than anyone knew, because they didn't want, and I'm sorry if this sounds conspiracy theory, but like I trusted him because he gave me some weirdly specific details. He said like they were just trying to work on whatever they wanted to work on without having to tell anybody. So therefore there were no expectations, because at the time that was a much fresher project. So people had their eyes on them. And eventually when we found out that it wasn't going to happen, we weren't going to get that median job of $73,000, then really it became they get to do whatever they want.
Well, so, the eye kind of moved away.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it feels like it was more like an all-purpose, whatever Foxconn wants to do. So I am interested to see what they want to do. I am interested to see if this happens. If they can, 1,300 jobs in that region.
That would be great.
That would be fantastic.
That would be fabulous. Yeah, it would. Under the newest revision to the Foxconn contract with Wisconsin, the company could earn up to $96 million in state tax credits through 2029. Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation says it's been committed to ensuring the company's success and growth. This new amendment reflects Foxconn's status as one of the many leading global manufacturers that have chosen to grow in Wisconsin. They want our water.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's understandable. And Microsoft wants our water. The data centers want our water. And my concern and my question is, especially in the election year next year in 2026, is how are you going to make these plans viable and beneficial for the people of Wisconsin, not just tax breaks and look the other ways and changing parameters on what you are committed to doing? How are the people of Wisconsin going to benefit from these deals? That's what their fiduciary responsibilities, lawmakers.
Details.
Yeah, right.
When we return, PFAS back in the news.
PFAS.
We were just talking about this yesterday. Here's a little update coming for you. Stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. We will be right back. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. In Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Before the break, we were talking about Foxconn has a new deal, it looks like, with Wisconsin. They're promising now 1,300 jobs, which would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that will happen.
Yes.
Jean from Eau Claire wants to join us on the line. Good morning, Jean. What do you think about this Foxconn new deal?
Well, I hate to break it to the people that are making these deals. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. No way, Jose. All the BS that they pulled throughout the state of Wisconsin. Remember, they purchased different little places, like even in Eau Claire,
little satellites. Little satellite offices that were never staffed by anybody.
Nope, and God darn it, people need to call their representatives and say, knock it off. We've already been conned by Foxconn once. Don't do it again. Thanks, guys, for the information, and you have a great holiday. Bye.
You as well, Jean.
You as well, Jean. Thanks a lot. By the way, we will be live tomorrow.
Yes, we will be live
Just
tomorrow.
as a reminder.
You're having a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit more of a laid-back show. We got Pat Kreitlow on for a full hour. Maybe we can even just finagle him forever, just become a permanent co-host. But honestly, Jean, you bring up a good point. And the whole fool me once, shame on you. But really, when it's Foxconn, it was really fool
me 14 times.
Well, shame on us immediately, because as soon as that story was broken, the discussion was the same company that has netting around the world for employees in Asia, the same company that has duped other municipalities over, and we're going to be next in line. How is this going to be different? How we can't change him. We can't change him. It's not a relationship. You know what I mean? Like they are who they are, and they did what they did. And I want to come to it with not faith, but just like a little bit of hope. But I won't be surprised if at the end of the day they're like, that.
Yeah, if it doesn't come through, we'll see what happens with this. I stumbled on this morning on social media as we were prepping for the show, out of the Washington Post. We were just talking about PFAS yesterday with Dr. Kristen Lyerly. We were just talking about water issues in Wisconsin, because Wisconsin Republicans now want to regulate medical waste because they say so many abortion pills are getting into our water systems. They don't mention anything about PFAS.
No.
Now the EPA, again from the Washington Post, just approved new forever chemical pesticides for use on food. Critics warn these new approvals of new PFAS pesticides could expose more Americans to forever chemicals through their food.
Yeah.
This seems bad.
This seems irresponsible and criminal.
They're going to use these pesticides on veggies like romaine lettuce, broccoli, and potatoes. EPA also announced they will relax a rule requiring companies to report all products containing PFAS. And they've proposed weakening drinking water standards for PFAS. Good news, French Island. They're just going to change the standards, so apparently then your water's going to be okay.
Good news, Nestle. Good news, Coca-Cola. Good news, bottled water companies. That's what this is about, too.
No kidding.
I have words. A lot of them aren't FCC compliant. But listen to how it's being said. We're relaxing restrictions on the things that keep us safe, keep our kids safe. This is okay? How is doing this making America great again? How is it making America healthy again? And besides business, who does this benefit? I mean...
Well, I would say the chemical companies.
That's what I mean, though. The businesses make out like bandits. And the PFAS thing in Wisconsin, if you don't know, and if you don't remember, because we've talked about this quite a few times over the past year plus, one of the reasons why we have... I don't even know if we still have it there anymore, but we had $125 million set aside for cleanup of waterways that were affected by PFAS. It's been blocked permanently, or almost permanently now, because one of the things that the Republicans do not want to do, and the Democrats have not stood up and fought harder for, and hopefully maybe they will in 2026, is the fact that the Republicans want to protect the businesses that are doing the poisoning of our waters. It's part of the thing where they don't want to have to hold responsible those who are doing the actions
polluters
that are polluting our waterways and messing up our environment. We hate PFAS. We should get rid of them. But what if it's just John Everybody in his pond, and there's a PFAS in there, and then he's gonna no, you don't care about him, because if you did, you'd say, hey, if you were an individual and it's a small thing, we remediate, we work through it. But if we're talking about companies and they're actively poisoning our waters with their chemicals, they need to be held responsible. But Robin Voss doesn't agree.
Well, no. An EPA spokesperson said many fluorinated compounds registered or proposed for U.S. pesticidal use in recent years have unique benefits for farmers, users, and the public. But scientists caution there's a lot that remains unknown about the health and environmental effects of fluorinated pesticides. PFAS, of course, have already been linked to several kinds of cancer, birth defects, and damage to the liver and immune system, among many other health problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why are our leaders not fighting for us and the health of our of the people and
because
the children?
We can't give them $1 million donations.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the probably the most infuriating thing, is that at time and time again, they side with the money and the other guys, not us.
News is coming up next. And then when we return, Liz Pancotti from Groundwork Collaborative is going to be joining us. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving and food prices. That's all on the way. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Good morning, Liz. Can you hear me all right?
Hey, I can hear you. How's this on my end?
You sound good. Are you able to turn your camera on?
I'm joining from my phone, so no.
Okay, that's all right. You sound good. We will be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, sorry. They told me this was radio only.
It is that we are on the live stream, but just audio is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our resident young person, Calvin, on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We're going to talk prices, Thanksgiving prices. Liz Pancotti is joining us from Groundwork Collaborative. She at one point advised Senator Bernie Sanders on economic policy, also researched economic policy at the Roosevelt Institute, Employ America, and the National Bureau of Economic Research. Her research has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Guardian. Liz Pancotti, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. How are you doing?
We are great. Looking forward to talking about prices. It's been interesting watching the messaging coming out of the White House because it does seem to run pretty counter to what Americans are experiencing. We do have a little clip from Kevin Hassett from the Trump administration talking about the prices. We're going to play that clip. Calvin, please.
And as you know, President Trump and his team are out there pushing the truth every day and pushing back on these people. But if you go back and look, one of my favorite moments on a Sunday show for me last week was on one of the Sunday shows. You can look it up. I won't attack the poor fellow that was the anchor. He criticized the fact that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving dinner is cheaper by, I think it was about $10 for a typical Thanksgiving dinner. And then he said, oh, yeah, but they substituted generic stuff, as if like having a generic something is a crime for ordinary folks. It shows how out of touch these people are.
That is Looney Tunes. It's just loony. I mean, for one thing, the anchor didn't say, he wasn't saying, generic is for losers. He was saying that you cannot compare last year's Walmart Thanksgiving dinner to this year's because not only did they have fewer items, but they substituted name brands with generics, and therefore the price was lower. Right, Liz?
It is literally an apples to oranges comparison. And it's funny because there are fewer oranges than apples, as you noted.
Right. It's amazing to me that they continue this messaging because I follow a lot of accounts on social media. This isn't catching on, no matter how much they repeat it.
No, I mean, I think the American public, I went to the grocery store last night, stocked up for Thanksgiving, paid more than I paid last year. People have, I think, really good memories of, wow, typically when I go to the grocery store to stock up for Thanksgiving, it's $100. And this year it's 120 or 130. And I don't think that, the president is doing this on everything, not just Thanksgiving prices, but going around and saying the prices are lower, I promise. But at the same time, he's also going around and saying that, affordability will be his 2026 concern, that he's really sorry he didn't get to it in his first year, despite his campaign trail promises to lower prices on day one. But don't worry, that's his New Year's resolution. And I think the American people see right through that. I mean, we polled with Data for Progress. We asked people how they felt about Thanksgiving, and more than 50% of people said that under President Trump's economic agenda, Thanksgiving is less affordable this year.
I went and bought my Thanksgiving turkey a couple of weeks ago from a local farm, and before anything was taken care of, she goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, our prices went up this year." And I'm like, I understand. And
I'm not mad at you.
I mean, prices go up, but when prices go up and then you're being told prices are going down, I don't understand how some folks can wrestle with trying to justify that information, especially when you support a president who's clearly lying. And as you pointed out, Liz, day one prices are coming down. I didn't understand how he was going to do that, but I was hoping that maybe some legislation would come through. There was a report that we were given that you did with the Century Foundation, Groundwork Collaborative did, that just simply says right here, 10% higher than last year. And that is just the truth. The data that you have compiled shows that there is no getting around it. The prices are going up.
Yeah, we looked at data that comes from a company called Nielsen, and what they do is when you go to the grocery store and either at the self-checkout line you scan, or in the regular checkout line your cashier scans, every little sticker that goes through the scanner goes into this massive data set, and the data set covers about half of all grocery retail sales in the country. So this is a very representative set of data. We have price data in every state, in nearly every county, on every item in the grocery store. And so what we did is we looked at the most popular items. Everybody's buying Libby's pumpkin pie filling or Kraft stovetop stuffing. We looked at all of these different products to see what people were actually buying. And then we just simply compared the exact same sticker, the same UPC, from this year to last year. So they are the exact same item. And if items weren't available this year, new items this year, we didn't compare them. And we find that across the board, these typical, items are up by 10% across the board. Mm-hmm. Some items are up even more than that. We find that onions are up 56%, and canned cranberry sauce from Ocean Spray is up 22%. I mean, I can't imagine having Thanksgiving without any onions in the stuffing or the turkey, or a lack of canned cranberry sauce on the table. And so while Kevin Hassett says, well, people could buy, Great Value brand cranberry sauce instead of Ocean Spray cranberry sauce. Sure. And in fact, we see retailers, Target and Walmart CEOs are both telling their investors that they see low and middle income consumers switching from store brand to generic brand items, or looking for more coupons and discounts. But that is because their wages, Americans' wages, are going down, adjusted for inflation. The prices are going up by so much, and the labor market has softened by so much, that in fact, your paycheck just doesn't go as far. And so they are forced to buy those store brand. There's nothing wrong with those. In many cases, they are the exact same item. My uncle worked for a dairy in Memphis, Tennessee for 20 years, and they bottled 5 different labels of milk at the dairy, and it was all the same exact milk coming out.
Yes.
But for some items, they are really different. I don't know if anyone's ever bought generic cereal, but it's usually not as good as the brand name ones. And if customers want to make that choice, that's totally fine, but they shouldn't be forced to either choose items they don't want, or, switch from fresh produce to canned produce, or worse. I mean, we find that 1 in 10 people say they will skip Thanksgiving entirely because it's just too expensive this year.
If you're just joining us here on Matenaer On Air, we're speaking with Elizabeth Pancotti, who is the Managing Director of Policy and Advocacy at Groundwork Collaborative. And we're talking about a study that she was a contributor to and just the overall narrative that this year Thanksgiving is more expensive. And a study that she was part of, I will link it in the show notes, shows that at average, the price is going up 10% this year for the Thanksgiving items. And something that, I in these types of conversations, I don't like to go heavy political. But the problem is when we talk about cost and we talk about a president who said he's going to bring prices down, you can't get away from it, especially when he says, then I'll get to it next year. Now, it's, 2/3, it's in this report, it says 2/3 of voters are stressed about affording holiday expenses. 2/3 of voters, that's not all people who voted for one person. That is a wide swath of individuals who have different political values, different economic values, but they're all connected on this, that affording their groceries, affording their gifts is going to be hard. And this is something else we talked about too, is that it opens up the line to putting things on credit card and putting yourself in debt. And that's a bigger problem too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we find that people from all parties, and we can in fact even slice our data by party affiliation, we find that 39% of Democrats are buying fewer items, yet 43% of independents and 31% of Republicans are buying fewer items. So this is not a single party thing. We are seeing this across the board. We also find that, while 14% of people across the board are foregoing typical travel, that number actually climbs to 19% of independents. And so regardless of who you voted for in last year's election or if you voted, there's no escaping higher prices this holiday season.
No, it's reality. And we're all seeing it every time we walk into the store. One article I read, Liz, pointed to in some instances, turkeys were actually a little less expensive, but that was because the feed was less expensive, and the feed was less expensive because it was soybeans, which we are no longer exporting.
Yeah, especially in places like Wisconsin. I mean, farmers are just really getting hit by Trump's tariffs. While things like soybeans might be cheaper because we are not exporting them, which, by the way, also means farmers are not getting a paycheck for a lot of those soybeans. Other things like fertilizer, which is largely imported, is much more expensive, and other types of feed are up. And, other farm products, Caterpillar and John Deere have both raised their prices. I know that hits home in Racine, given how much industrial manufacturing goes on. Those steel and aluminum tariffs are really driving up the price of heavy equipment and cutting jobs in places like Racine.
I'm looking at an article from Wisconsin Public Radio that cites Mike Semin, who's president and CEO of the Wisconsin Grocers Association. He also said higher costs for labor, transportation, and utilities are impacting the food supply chain. And when we talk about the price, especially of vegetables, fresh vegetables going up, this is all a part of decimating the workforce that works on our farms and picks that stuff.
Yeah, Trump's crackdowns on immigrant labor have really driven up the price of both fresh produce and of meat across the board, just given how many immigrant workers work in our food supply chains, whether it's on farms or in meatpacking facilities. So many folks are either too afraid to go to work or unfortunately have had their work visas or either had their work visas cut or been deported.
And this is something for more of a question. I apologize if you don't have the answer right off the top of your head, but I feel like with all of these things happening, people are getting a real sense of the chain of, not the chain of command, but like how things like labor affects prices, feed affects prices, that affects me, not being able to get stuff shipped here because of tariffs. All of those things affects the food that goes on your table, the clothes you put on your back, the services that are available to fix your home. Do you, in your research with your group, do you see people starting to come to light to understanding how one thing affects another, just like a butterfly effect, if you will?
Yeah, I think what you said is exactly right. People have really realized, I'd say over the past 5 years or so, just given supply chain crises and the COVID-19 pandemic and now tariffs and immigration and other issues, people realize how interconnected our economy is, that if you flip one switch over here, it doesn't mean that everything else is isolated. If you blow a fuse in your house, it might either blow out one electrical switch or the entire basement, right? And I think that's what we're seeing happen here. In our research, we do find that people from across the political spectrum really are worried about prices and affordability. Their economy is the economy is their number one concern, and they say that President Trump and Republicans in Congress are not prioritizing it. And further, we find that a lot of voters are really regretting their votes for President Trump, or just saying, "I really thought he was going to come in and lower prices," and we do not see him delivering. And I think across the board, President Trump is currently at his lowest approval rating on the economy, even compared to the entire first term.
Well, and I think too, I've been listening to that sentiment you're talking about right now is being discussed a lot with the first year coming up, and people saying, I did this for the economy, I wanted lower prices. And we're going to talk more about this on the other side of the break. But we are talking to Liz Pancotti, who is the managing director of policy and advocacy at Groundwork Collaborative. So stick around.
We will be right back. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast statewide, countrywide. You can pick us up around the globe on the Civic Media Radio Network. Don't go away. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Our guest is Liz Pancotti. She's the managing director of policy and advocacy at Groundwork Collaborative. We are talking about Thanksgiving prices and prices in general. Just a couple of side notes here. 511wi.gov is that website that will show you where all the accidents are across the state, and I have been checking this across the morning. We do have some accidents scattered around Wisconsin, but it looks like it really starts getting hairy when you're on 94 north of Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
Visibility is bad. We do have a blizzard warning for parts of Ashland, so far northern Wisconsin, so please just be careful with that. And now we have some power outages we're dealing with.
We do have power outages around the state. Wisconsin, see here, about 12,374 people are without power, mainly going up through the southeastern area of Wisconsin. I know my power is out in Kenosha right now. So, yeah, just
be aware.
Be aware, be safe, and they're working on it right now, according to the website. They're working on it.
Of course they are. But if you have an elderly neighbor or something like that, and this goes on for a while, you may want to go check on them.
Exactly.
All right. We're going to get back to Liz Pancotti, our guest here. Liz, we had a couple of texts come in during the break. Jim from Campbellsport says, I am a store brand rep. You have to price compare private label versus national brand. Also, don't forget there's a difference between store brand and second tier lines, which are considered generic. I didn't even know that was a thing.
We can see all of that in our data set. So we even like for produce, for example, in some parts of the country, Chiquita bananas are more popular, and in other parts of the country, Del Monte bananas are more popular. It just depends on where things come from. Dairy is another one where Borden is popular in some places. There's also Great Value brand at Walmart and different local brands. So we're able to look across the country at both the kind of product category, so just all whole milk, and at specific products. So where there's a lot of variation, especially for things like produce, we can kind of transcend the brand level analysis. And then where, things like Green Giant canned green beans are very popular. And so we were able to look at specific brands when they are driving the greatest share of sales.
I think something I want to go back to what you mentioned in the previous segment was the fact that, we talk about it a lot, but people, I have to imagine, along with the chain of command of how the processes affect our food prices and affect the things we can access, the fact that wages have stagnated or gone down to when adjusted for inflation, that's also a huge problem when people are just trying to buy canned cranberry, and they are like, well, we'll skip that this year because they can't afford it because their job and we're not talking about poor only. We're talking about poor, working class, blue collar, middle class people. It is all affected by the fact that wages are not keeping up with what's going on with prices.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we find that most Americans feel like their paychecks are just not keeping up in times of high inflation. I mean, the basic essentials, things like housing, groceries, and utility bills are all up by 30% over the past 5 years. I don't know very many people who got a 30% paycheck increase over the past 5 years.
Maybe if you're a CEO, Liz, I bet some of those guys got a 30% raise.
I think this is the issue. And it's not just, it's hard. You said you bought your turkey from a local farm. It's hard to look at our local producers, especially in a state like Wisconsin, and say, you shouldn't raise your prices. For most of these people, they're actually taking home a lot less than they were 30 or 5 years ago, even in light of 30% price increases or more. And these big, especially in agriculture, big conglomerate corporations are making out like bandits while, farmers and ranchers are getting squeezed, and everyday Americans, whether you're blue collar or even upper middle class, it is really difficult to afford just the basic essentials, much less the little extras like the marshmallows for the top of your sweet potatoes. You might skip this year.
Well, and you mentioned these big conglomerates. We just had a meat processing plant close, I believe, in Kentucky, and that, from my understanding, is one of the major problems with our beef producers and why beef is so high is because we have 4 companies that control all the beef processing in this country, and one of them is a Brazilian company.
That's exactly right. I mean, in Nebraska, just literally last week, Tyson announced they'll be closing a factory that employs nearly 3,000 people
Oh my
just ahead of the
gosh.
holidays. And yet, the top 5 executives at Tyson's got over $10 million in bonuses at the same time.
Did they?
Wait a minute.
Did they?
What? When did this start happening? When did CEOs start getting bonuses in light of
When they
mass
fail?
firing? And yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't have time to talk about it right now, but I would love to talk to you about this again. That, working for someone like Bernie Sanders and with the election of Zohran Mamdani in New York, I'm wondering how many Americans are starting to open their eyes and accept new ideas on how we need to lead and create laws that actually benefit the people of this country and make it so that we can afford Thanksgiving.
I think that's a pretty common sense thing that is felt across all political parties right now.
Liz Pancotti is the Managing Director of Policy and Advocacy at Groundwork Collaborative. Thank you so very much for your time, Liz. It's been a really, really interesting conversation. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy Thanksgiving.
You as well. Stay tuned. We have news coming up next. And then when we return, teens and technology. Going to talk about teens and technology and adults and technology while we are on the subject with Dr. Gabriel Velez is going to be joining us, so stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Great big pool in my backyard. Another great big pool beside it. Sunday is money that matters. Hear what I say. It's money that matters. In the USA. It's money that matters. Now you know that it's true. It's money that matters. Whatever you do.
Good morning, Dr. Velez. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We come back in about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, awesome. And does everything look all right on the camera as well?
Yep, you look great.
Okay, perfect.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Our guest is an associate professor and developmental psychologist in the Department of Educational Policy and Leadership in the College of Education at Marquette University. Dr. Gabriel Velez is our guest. Good morning, Dr. Velez. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Good morning, Jane. Thank you. I'm doing well this morning. Getting excited for Thanksgiving. The weather's a little crummy, but it's winter time, so can't complain much.
Hang on to your hat when you walk outside. It is a little crazy. But we thought what a great time to talk about teens and technology and even adults and technology the day before Thanksgiving, when half of the table is going to be on their phones while you're passing around the stuffing and driving everybody crazy.
Yep, that is 100% right. And I was at a coffee shop this morning and I saw someone with Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, which is all about this topic. And I was thinking, it's on people's minds.
It really is. I don't think we appreciate, Dr. Velez, just how damaging phones and social media are for all of us. Right?
Yes, and that's where it begins. I think there's so much focus on youth and on students and on schools, and all of that's right. But it really begins with us as adults. I've talked to some young people. I remember in one of my classes, we were talking about some of these issues and questions. And they said, our teachers are telling us, ban your phones, put them away. You can't have them at school. And then they're like, they'll give us a worksheet. And then I see there's, they're sitting there kind of like scrolling on some kind of app on their phone. And, I'm like, yeah, it's a challenge for all of us. But if we're going to focus on young people, we got to think about ourselves too.
And we're seeing now in Wisconsin, there's something in California now. In Wisconsin, they want to ban cell phones in school. And I want us to open up, and if you're a listener, you know I do not have children. I do not have children in school, so I feel like mine could be a very cut and dry, simple opinion. Is like, well, yeah, don't have the phones because back in my day, ... But I mean, tell us what the arguments for kids having phones in school start there, because we have very much said like, yeah, we're going to ban phones in school. You don't need them, and it's a distraction. But there are people out there, parents. People who are not kids in school who say it might not be the best idea, but are there viable arguments saying kids should have access to them aside from social media, which we're going to get to?
Sure. I can almost group it into sort of three areas, I think. On the side of the parents, right, and we've heard this before, there's the kind of concern around like if I need to contact my student, right, or if they need to contact me. And that, is just, I think, tied into larger questions and issues where parents these days are more stressed about safety, about being in contact, and also I would say about surveillance of their students, right? So smartphones also allow for this ability to sort of track your student because it's on them, it's on. You say, oh, I should be able to get in touch with them. I think in the educational side, there's a bit of a case to be made to say that smartphones can facilitate certain types of learning, right? I mean, like any technology, it's a tool. And so it's a little bit of how you use it. I, in my class, for instance, sometimes have students doing in-classroom polls where they pull up their phone and they use a QR code that they see on the screen, and they can contribute some thought relatively anonymously that we then see, on the board kind of in front of us. And then the third part that I would say as a developmental psychologist that we don't talk about enough is that we're meant to sort of use schools to teach young people about how to use things well and healthily, right? I mean, think about this with like peer conflict, right? One of the great parts about schools is if we do it well, we can teach young people how do you engage when you've got a conflict with, your friend, with an adult, with someone else. And I do think there's a case to be made that phones are a real huge challenge, but we could also structure teaching kids about like how do you engage with this healthily? How do you use it as something that's going to benefit you rather than something that's just constantly distracting you or tapping into sort of your mental health in a negative way?
You make such a good point, though, Dr. Velez, about this is a tool. Now let's learn how to properly use this tool so we don't injure ourselves with said tool, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I think the challenge there becomes, we say tool, we think of like a hammer, right? And to some degree, there's a company out there producing a hammer for us to use, but it's not producing a hammer that will sort of be constantly drawing our attention and constantly pulling at us, right? And social media and smartphones are set up by companies that are making money off of our attention. So it's, it's a tool, but it certainly is, a little bit of a different one.
I think there's an important point you're making there too, is, it's the adult's responsibility where we're talking about, mentors, teachers, or parents to teach kids how to make it in the world using the tools they have available to them. And I think that then puts a responsibility on those older folks to understand how those young people use these tools, because people who are Gen Z were born into cell phones, born into tablets. They probably don't know a life before that. And it takes the responsibility of the adult up higher to understand what they're going through, to say this is what you need to do, because we had a slide presentation that was sent that you use that says basically when adults try to teach kids, we're trying to teach them from our point of view and our experience. Well, go do X because that's what I did and that's what my dad, my granddad did. But guess what? That's not how it works. And so
it's not applicable anymore.
So kids aren't going to do it that way. They're going to find their own way. So it is up to the adults to say, I have to meet kids where they are too, to understand their struggles, their needs, and that what comes through these, whether it's social media, whether it's just the phone itself. I think it's not just about teens and technology. It's about how are adults part of the conversation and being responsible as well.
Yeah, 100% yes. And I think, too often we assume things about young people. And I love the efforts and initiatives you hear out there where they're leading the charge, right? Mm-hmm. And like there's a great organization in Milwaukee called Disconnect, which is about empowering young people to sort of take action around digital technologies and encourage other young people and advocate in educational spaces. And that's really beginning with them. And I think if we try and do things from top down, right, we're just going to end up in a world where they're sneaking their phones in their backpack and you're looking at them
Yes.
in the bathroom, and we're trying to police and surveil and all of that.
Yeah, when you tell a teenager not to do something, that frequently will have the opposite effect. If you're
100%.
I know adults who are the same way.
Yep.
If you are just joining us, Dr. Gabriel Velez is our guest. He is at the College of Education at Marquette University, and we're talking about technology and all of us, not just teenagers. Is there a certain amount of time, Dr. Velez, that we should limit ourselves to on our devices? Is it 3 hours? You're done. 3 hours a week and you're done.
Yep. That is the challenge with some of these things, is that I think we always are looking for the easy, clear cut, right? This comes, about, like, I get the question often, you hear, like, what age should I introduce a smartphone to my child? And, there's some great campaigns out there that say, like, wait until 8, because 8th grade is a nice sort of like direct cutoff. I do think, to that point, it's not necessarily about limiting the time. I would say it's becoming aware of how we're using that time. And that's where we can use our phones, and our tools and apps to our advantage, because there are lots of great apps and tools out there that will track your time. And I do this even sometimes myself. And so that makes me aware, my gosh, I'm spending, X amount of time on my phone, or I'm opening it. I've done that, and I've noticed, like, I open it, hundreds of times a day. And that just makes me aware, my gosh, like, I'm looking at my phone that often. And so, I think rather than sort of box ourselves into one size fits all, I think it's just making sure we're attentive and aware of the ways and the time that we are spending in that. And then, it's a bit of a challenge, but asking ourselves to reflect and say, is that how I want to be spending that time? Is it healthy for me? How am I feeling about that?
I thought there's an article in the Washington Post from this morning, Dr. Velez, that says, why constantly checking your phone can drain your focus and memory. You might underestimate how often you look at your device, and you might be paying a price with more attention and memory lapses. So we're getting dumber.
Dear Washington Post, shut up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'll have to go look at that later. But sometimes, you need this research that also tells you things we already know, right? Like, I doubt there are very few people that read that and said, that is groundbreaking. Yeah, but we need that.
And I want to, that topic of when to introduce a cell phone or devices or that digital world to your kid, I think that also brings back what I was just talking about, as far as I don't want to say the responsibility of parents. I don't want to tell a parent how to raise their child, but the opportunities to sit down and say, all right, you're going into 8th grade. It's time to get you a phone, or time to get you a device. Let's have these conversations and talk about it, because I'm willing to bet that these cell phone bans that are coming through and people's attitudes, they don't take into consideration the children's opinions. Their opinions are valid on why they may or may not need them. You have to have these conversations and say, why do you think you need these? For school? Okay, great. We'll do X, Y, and Z. But let's limit your screen time. Let's talk about what you're looking at. Be open and honest about these things, because I read an article in the JS, an opinion piece from a woman who, she said from the moment she got her son an Xbox and a cell phone, that it was the slow decline into disappearing into the world of social media, where it's not real connections, and that led to drug use, and that led to his death. And I'm not saying I'm going to go that far, but it is about being open to the conversation about what your kids are looking at when you introduce them, especially at such a young age, which seems like I have to imagine there's more pressure on parents to introduce digital devices than even for their children.
Yeah, I think you're really right. So I have 3 young kids. I have a 7, a 5, and a 3-year-old. And, one of the things that I feel very fortunate about is we're raising them in a world where actually we know a lot of other parents who are talking about this and are waiting to give their kids devices, right? And I think 10 years ago, that was not the case, right? It was much more likely that there were the parents who were giving the devices, and you felt the pressure if you were saying, maybe we should wait and hold off.
Yeah.
But the other point that you mentioned about that, Greg, is I think it's also just like critical that we're thinking about what's going on in the schools, and there's communication across that, because, I'm realizing my oldest son is getting more engaged with screens and technology at school than he is at home. But also then I'm reading, a lot of schools are not really careful and thoughtful. Like we think that schools would have all these guardrails, right? But there's a lot of good evidence that sometimes kids are put in, front of a screen, and the teacher's going and helping some other student one-on-one. And there isn't actually a lot of oversight or control or sort of regulation around how that other student is using the screen.
That's so interesting, though, Dr. Velez, that you're meeting more parents who are waiting to introduce that social media, because I can imagine, oh, you poor thing, you're one of Dr. Velez's kids. How sad for you. You don't have a smartphone.
And then your kid is coming to you saying like, oh, but Johnny and Betty and Susie and
everybody
they
else
all
has
have it.
one. Yes. Why are we so odd?
Yeah.
I feel like there was a time when this became more prevalent in children's lives. A lot of parents were like, you're not getting one till high school. And that was just the thing. You don't get social media. You don't need
it's
that.
Like getting your ears pierced.
And then it got younger and younger because they're like, oh, they've got games on here and they'll be entertaining themselves. And now, as you're saying, there's more thought into it. There's more possible damage. There's more research. So it's like, when is a good time to do this? We decide as a family, not by societal pressures.
We're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Gabriel Velez on the other side. You can always join us if you have a question, call or text at 855-752-4842. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide. You can even pick us up around the world on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
She can't hurt. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know what else to do about it. Jane
morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvi Teeny on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We are joined by Dr. Gabriel Velez, Associate Professor, Developmental Psychologist in the College of Education at Marquette University. And we're talking about our phones and us. And we had a couple texts come in, Dr. Velez, that I just wanted to share. John from Milwaukee says, I say ban phones for everyone. LOL. And Sue from Franklin says, we got our daughter a phone when she was 12 and we were pressured to hold out for that long. She still did great in school, but her reading test scores dropped over the next couple of years. And I think it was because she was on the phone more than she was reading like she used to. All worked out okay. She's now 27. She has her master's.
There you go.
So she came out on top, but it can be really detrimental for us. I saw a report earlier this week. We have 6-year-old girls now who are asking their moms if they're fat because of what they're seeing on social media. That's horrifying.
Yeah, that, the potential is what's scary, I think, too, right? And I think if, you're a parent out there and you're worried and you're getting super concerned, any given individual young person, you don't want to just assume, right, all these bad things, right, that they're seeing pornography, that they're exposed to this, that it's going to destroy them. But when we look across our country and across, lots of young people, it is affecting a lot of them negatively. And so it is something we need to be talking about, thinking about, and developing policies in schools and states and, in these different ways.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think, too, it's also particularly for young men who aren't getting out, who aren't socializing, who are building their whole world online.
Yeah. And that's where, I love that you bring that up because, it's not happening in a vacuum, right? That's the other thing we need to keep in mind. So there are pressures right now for being young men, and there are all sorts of other dynamics going on. And young people are feeling like less connected. And for boys in particular, that can be hard when they maybe also feel social pressures, emotional pressures, and then phones and video games and pornography too that they can access on these. Like they go down a deeper hole. And so, I think we need to be attentive, right, too, that it's not the same for all young people either. And so different groups, it's going to affect them in different ways.
I think something that I saw from the PowerPoint that our senior producer Tucker provided for us in our research is that also, the two major things that hit me was, one, the discernible and trackable study that shows that kids are just getting less sleep too, and as well as the teens who meet up in real life every day is going down because, I won't lie, social media, I think in its infancy, in its most altruistic form, was here to connect us. And there are definite positive attributes to how we can affect the world by being on social media. But there is a loneliness epidemic, and it's something that it's hit adults more, but kids are almost growing up in it from the start. Just like they're growing up with social media and technology, they understand that you're not truly connected, and this, whether it's Snapchat, WhatsApp, it's not a real relationship. It's not a real relationship, and it can provide a lot of internal anxiety and problems, which kids are going through all the time.
Yeah. Greg, that you had such a good point, because the other part about this is, we're in a world where AI is taking off, and we're seeing more evidence that young people are engaging with chatbots like their friends.
Yeah.
And, that's part of my concern, where exactly what you're describing, right? It's one thing if it's a real person that you're connecting with virtually and you're not getting the in-person connection. It's a whole other thing if it's virtual and a technology.
Yes.
And so, that's where some of my fear comes. We're talking, a lot about cheating with AI in schools, but we're not talking about the possibilities for young people sort of going to AI chatbots rather than friends or teachers or other real people and connecting in that way.
Well, and that's why I said, too, there is a concern about building an entire online world for yourself where you never have to go outside of that for human connection. You can have your AI best friend. You can have your girlfriend who's on OnlyFans. You can do all of these things without ever leaving your house, and you never actually get out in the world and have face-to-face conversations. And you're missing so much.
Yes, yes. And the other part, and I gotta go back to my sort of background as a developmental psychologist, is relationships and in-person connection matter so much for so much of parts of development, right? Of growing, of learning, of becoming, fully sort of functional adults and citizens. And so when I work with schools and teachers, sometimes rather than focusing on what can we do about the technology, which can feel really overwhelming, I say, let's really double down on how can we build relationships, right? What can you do to make more in-person connections for yourself with a young person or for young people with other young people? And then it kind of has a little bit of a positive strength space to kind of like, how can we take this on?
I think that also brings back to the point of the responsibility of the mentor, the teacher, the parent. When we say there's so much going on in the world, they might look at us and say, like, what? Okay, take them out into the world. Show them what you love. Show them what's good out there. Don't just say, go out and play. Do something with them and expose them so they can understand, not just tell them that what they're doing is
wrong.
Yeah, I think, once again, it brings forth the idea that in this conversation, the adults have to meet the kids halfway and understand as much as they can what they're going through and be a tool to help as they're trying to understand the tools in their lives.
I completely agree. And I think it's the same also for AI. Like you're just saying,
Yes.
we can't just ban it. We can't hide it and not talk about it. We need to meet them there, understand why they're using it, how they're feeling, and think about, okay, how can we then lead them to a healthier, more positive outcome and engagement with it?
Dr. Gabriel Velez is an associate professor and developmental psychologist in the Department of Educational Policy in the College of Education at Marquette University. Such an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah.
Velez. Really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you both. This has been great.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Yeah, have a good
And
one.
none of us will be on our phones
Oh,
tomorrow.
I will be.
at all.
Oh, I will be.
Not
Yeah.
us. Put them away.
I will be.
We have news coming up next, and then we're going to lighten it up with some audio sorbet, and we're going to talk about toys.
Yeah.
That's coming up next. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
But I love you best. It's not something that I say in jest, 'cause you're different girl from all the rest.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Cal B
It is.
on the board. Coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just a reminder, we will be here tomorrow.
Live
In
person.
Live and in person, live from Radio Park tomorrow from 9 to 11. So if you need some background while you're in the kitchen, dicing celery and chopping up very expensive onions and all the other things, join us. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. Pat Kreitlow is going to join us at 9:30.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a lot of Thanksgiving-related things, holiday-related things. It will be an upbeat, happy show.
It's going to be a special all Oreo sorbet edition.
Pretty much.
I just said that. I didn't talk to Jane or Calvin about that.
Now that's what we're doing. Yes. So join us tomorrow morning from 9 to 11 if you are able. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Another reminder, 511wi.gov is that great website before you head out and hit the roads to check on road conditions that will show you where all the accidents are all over the state. And now I'm seeing them starting to pile up all over the place. North of Milwaukee, we've got some Lansing Car Ferry on Wisconsin 82 is closed because of high winds. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. Check out 511wi.gov. It's really a very useful resource.
And also and we will be giving you a special pre-recorded, wonderful, brand new episode.
All new
on
material.
Friday. So when you're listening to us on Friday, that is going to be pre-recorded, but we're going to have a good time. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful vacation. Please, please, please be safe, especially if you're up there in the north woods of Wisconsin. It's getting waylaid by snow, but yeah, be safe and have a great holiday. But we'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to have a really good time. Maybe a mocktail will be in order.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and by a mocktail, I'll just say I'm having a gin and tonic without the gin.
That would be tonic, then, a glass of tonic.
Still counts as a mocktail.
All right. Also, a reminder, make sure you have the Civic Media app.
Why?
Because on Monday, we're going to kick off our multi-state grown-up gift list text-to-win contest.
Yeah.
You have a chance to text in a whole bunch of times throughout the day and pick up $200 in cash.
Yep.
That'll be handy.
Every time.
Every time. Yep. And then grand prizes. We have a grand prize, a snowblower, stainless steel cookware set, portable air conditioner, some very, very nice prizes. And all you have to do is listen.
Start your winter right with a portable air conditioning unit.
Well, we'll need that eventually. Yeah. But yes, it is going to start on Monday. Yeah. The contest starts on Monday. You have to enter via the Civic Media app.
Correct.
So go to your app store. It is
absolutely free.
And be ready for Monday so you can take part.
Contest goes until the 12th of December, which happens to be the last day of Jane Matenaer's radio career here at Civic Media, and just done. She's done. She's like, she threw down her headset one day. She's like, I'm out of here. And we're like, can you stay until the 12th? She's like, fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
The next 2 weeks, we'll just be having fun. There'll be fun guests, maybe some surprises, but you want to stick around and listen and be a part of it. Let us know, in those weeks, what Jane meant to you, what she means to you. Make her cry. When you give her compliments, she cries. But they're good tears. They're good tears.
Not that hard to make me cry.
I've seen her watch a dog video.
I'm a squish. Okay, so anyway, yes, that's all coming up starting next week.
Yeah.
Our text-to-win multi-state contest, grown-up gift list. Download the Civic Media app so you're all ready for that. This is the portion of the program we call Audio Sorbet, where we talk about lighter things. Essentially, we
clean your ears with fun.
So this story I saw this morning, the famous toy maker, the man who invented the mouse trap and the Light Bright and so many other wonderful toys.
Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Yes.
Robots.
Bert Meyer has passed away at the age of 99.
Yeah. Wow.
What a run.
Yeah,
but that started us talking about toys. And toys we loved as kids.
Yeah. Especially with the conversation we just had with Dr. Velez from Marquette University.
Right.
It's very easy and understandable to hand your kid a phone and say, play a game on your phone. And they love it and they're having a good time.
Right.
But are there games that you grew up with that you still love to play, that you have great memories? And are these games and activities that you're handing down to your kids or grandkids? So like, a puzzle, or maybe it's playing a board game like Mousetrap, which is super fun.
This Mousetrap is fun. So is Trouble.
Trouble is fun.
But just for the Pop-O-Matic alone.
Anything with the Pop-O-Matic bubble, Trouble, Sorry, those two games, yes. There was one more. What was the other one? There was one more game that used the Pop-O-Matic bubble. I'm going to look that up right now. That was very 70s, 80s. There was a... And they...
Was it a Pop-O-Matic craze? All Pop-O-Matics all the time?
I think so. I think because they always say it has the Pop-O-Matic bubble. So that must have been... let's see.
That was a draw.
Trouble... Pop It. They just, Pop It was called.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of versions of Pop It and Trouble. And I believe, I don't think Sorry had the Pop-O-Matic bubble.
No.
Okay, no. So it was just 2 games. It was 2 games.
That's why Trouble. That's why Trouble was. I could have just played with the Pop-O-Matic. I didn't have to do anything. Just played with the thing. What was your favorite game as a child? 855-752-4842. What did you love when you were a kid? Was it Sorry? Was it Monopoly?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Life? Which did anyone ever finish that game?
No, it all finishes one place, Jane. Just one place. Greg on the live stream says, "How about Hi Ho Cheerio?" I remember that game.
I do. What do we remember? Do you know how
it's like
it
you
worked?
collect cherries in a bucket, and then I believe so. I think that's what it was. Shoots and Ladders. I remember that one too.
Shoots and Ladders.
Love
That's
Shoots
probably
and
the first game most kids play.
I think so too. Yeah,
Right?
Candyland.
Board game.
Candyland is also another one. I remember Monopoly being a game we would play, but we would never play fully because Monopoly is a very intense and can be a very dark game. So we just kind of took all the property stuff out. We would just try to go around the thing and try to collect money. And when we were done, whoever had the most money won, which is not unlike Monopoly fully, but we were not investing in properties and then pushing rents upon people and trying to crush our dads at the game of capitalism.
Different
Yeah,
kind
totally.
of different kind of thing. We're talking about games, favorite games after the loss of famous toy maker Bert Meyer, who designed Mousetrap, Light Bright, Rock'em Sock'em Robots. He passed away at the age of 99, served in the Navy, was an aircraft mechanic before graduating from the Illinois Institute of Technology with a batch in product design. His license plate read Toy King.
Love it.
And he said the Light Bright was the favorite of all the games that he worked on. Light Bright, I loved
I loved Light Bright too. I liked Light Bright as a kid because you could just do whatever you want, and then it's sort of like Lego. You can buy the paper that had the design on there, and you can make the design how you see fit. You could just put the pegs in there and make whatever you want.
Make your own thing.
But then there are people out there like, I took 3,400 Light Brights and I made a Frank Lloyd house.
Right.
I'm like, well, what am I even doing here then?
Yeah. That's a whole different level of light brighting.
Yeah.
Brett from Brown Deer, listening on WAUK. If I could buy myself a toy, it would be the slot car racing set.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. Yep. I know. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a You put together the pieces of a race set.
Okay.
And then you have cars that are magnetized. And then you have a little, usually like a little gun thing.
Ooh.
And you press the button and it just goes fast and it goes right.
It goes around the track.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Half the fun was putting it together. That's where the whole thing's like, put slot A into hole B and blah, blah, blah. And then watch your father get really mad at your mom for not helping and blah, blah, blah.
Numerous fun abounds.
Exactly.
Liz from Saukville, listening on WAUK. Masterpiece. I learned a lot about famous paintings. I don't know that game.
Wow, I didn't grow up friends with you.
Masterpiece. Another texter says, I love Light Bright personally. My sister still has one.
Nice. I saw one come up through the texts before that was, let's see here. So I apologize for this. Someone texted in earlier in the show about it, and they said, nope, it's gone. It's absolutely gone. But Miss RDT on the live stream says, paper dolls and jacks were my life as a child.
Paper dolls.
Is that the one where you take, you cut out the doll shape and then you take...
And they had the little tabs.
Yes,
and
okay.
you put the outfits. Yes. Paper dolls were
Could
huge.
you imagine handing a paper doll book to
a kid?
Not to a 5-year-old would love it, but to an 11-year-old, be like, here, play with that. Play with that.
It might be so novel now, though.
You're right.
That it might be interesting. It's retro.
I can already picture what a parent who does that looks like. Their name is like Hawthorne, and he has a big mustache and says, "We're gonna do this while listening to jazz, only on vinyl."
You're gonna love it. Favorite toys you loved as a kid that you wish you were that were still around. Do you have kids or grandkids? What do they play with that is not technology?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
board
exactly.
games, other things. 855-752-4842. Penny, listening on WAUK, says go fish and Old Maid.
Oh God, Uno! I love playing. I can get real competitive in a game of Uno.
Do they even make Old Maid cards anymore?
Oh, I'm sure they, much like paper
Because
doll books.
it's not socially acceptable anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right.
To be an Old Maid.
That's true. What?
Now there would be single by choice cards.
I got you this new game called Communist Feminist. Yeah, there you go.
Caravan Rider.
Tony on the live stream says, my 4-year-old loves her dolls. The 4 and 5-year-old both love stuffed animals, and they could color all day. That's the thing is, like, I am not one of these people who says kids shouldn't have technology. They shouldn't have phones. They'd be like, no, that's do what you want. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But I love seeing kids who still just like dive into books or color or do those things that are, it's not no money fun, but it's like I can go to the store and spend $25 and buy a bunch of games and whatever, and the kid is absolutely entertained.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Toys you miss, toys you would love to see come back. What do your grandkids and kids play with that aren't technology? Casper, listening on WAUK, says cribbage. Cribbage is a great game. Teaches math.
It teaches, it's also high pressure math.
Well, you got to play with people who aren't quite that competitive.
And patient, because if you miss points.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why I don't play cribbage, because I miss points and I feel bad.
People yell at you.
Yeah.
855-752-4842. Ollie joining us. Ollie, you get the last word before we go to the break. Favorite toys?
Well, we used to play with regular cards, play war or fight.
War, yes.
And Parcheesi and the Chinese checkers. But our favorite thing this time of year was the Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Oh, yeah.
And we would look and look and look through it.
Yes.
And dream and dream and dream, knowing we weren't going to get anything anyways. But then we would take our paper doll, and we would take the catalog and cut fashions from the catalog and make new fashions for our paper
Very nice.
That's fantastic.
Ollie.
Thank you so much. Calvin chiming in. We forgot to get to Calvin. I apologize. He says, Hungry, Hungry Hippos, Don't Break the Ice, and Cooties. Those are all games I grew up with, too.
Forgot about Cooties.
I love it.
Thank you, everybody. That was so much fun. We're going to wrap things up when we return with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, it's just the That's Revolting edition. Stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvitini on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We were talking right before the break about toys that we played with as kids, toys that we miss, toys that we would like to see come back. A couple of texts I wanted to get to. Roger and Stevens Point. I enjoyed Matchbox cars. My aunt made me a map that I could drive the cars on. That's cool.
That's amazing.
My brother had a whole bunch of Matchbox cars. That was a big with a whole case for him and everything.
Of Matchbox cars.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I'm trying to think of what else I had. I had that. He-Man, had some Star Wars stuff, collections, G.I. Joe for a moment. But yeah, I remember Hot
You were
Wheels.
probably on the real tail end of G.I. Joe as a kid.
No.
Oh, really?
Because G.I. Joe was really popular in the 80s with the cartoon. And the small, because like the original G.I. Joes were like a foot tall. We got the tiny little ones that.
Okay.
And no, it's
because my brother had the big one and his feet turned around backwards. It was really
with the
cool.
kung fu grip.
Barbies did not do that. It was one of the, I know. G.I. Joe had that too. Roddy from Horicon, listening on WCFW, said, I loved Color Forms and Battleship. Battleship was a game we played at our house.
Battleship was fun. I did like that game. I'm trying to think. Like there was electronic Battleship because
Oh, that was way advanced.
Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good game. But I still love Uno.
No, really. And the one thing I cannot remember the name of it, but my brother doesn't remember. It was a compressor of some kind where you poured in wax and then you put the form down and it would heat it into like a little car, plastic figurines and stuff. That thing heated up to the surface of the sun.
That's like
It's amazing that we never burned down the house with that thing or gave ourselves third-degree burns. I think it was called a compressor. If that rings a bell with you, I would love to hear from you. But I've been trying to think about what that thing was called for the longest time.
I think of that machine at the zoo that does the same thing, only you can't touch anything.
You only can't touch it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had it out in the family room.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Okay, Calvin, it's 10:55. It's getting late. That means it's time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever find a thing you think this should not be, send it in to Greg and me at Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. This from the New York Post, that bastion of journalistic credibility. Brooke Steinberg has the byline, Kraft's bizarre new mac and cheese flavor is inspired by Thanksgiving, but fans aren't so thankful. For the fall is the time of year when we love to indulge in comfort food. Kraft has come out with two new favorites to create a unique meal. Kraft is out with the apple pie flavored Kraft mac and cheese, combining two of the most iconic Thanksgiving dishes to create a sweet and savory concoction. Kraft's apple pie flavor satisfies the flavor trend that feels both familiar and adventurous.
Don't read it like that.
I'm just reading.
Don't read it with zest in life. Don't read it like you're going to eat it. My God, this is disgusting.
This contains the creamy cheese with cinnamon and tart green apple notes. May seem odd to sell a sweet-flavored mac and cheese. Not new. In many regions of the Americas, as well as Canada and the UK, people traditionally top their slice of apple pie with a slice of cheese. Well, yes, that is an entirely different thing. Putting a slice of cheese on your apple pie is not mac and cheese apple-flavored.
Yeah, I mean
that's a food crime.
Do not. We were speaking to Liz Pancotti earlier in the show in the last hour. Again, that's comparing apples to oranges. Download the first episode and listen to it on
Right.
on civicmedia.us. Yeah, and honestly, maybe I wouldn't try that this year because I've never had apple pie and cheese, and I'm not against the idea.
Oh, it's yummy.
Yeah, I can understand why both flavors go together well, but this whole thing, like, you're not taking is it macaroni and cheese and apple, or is it apple flavored mac and cheese? So that's not it.
The second one.
So you're just taking the apple flavoring and throwing it on pasta. Disgusting.
That seems to be pretty much the consensus from the public. Fans not too thrilled about the Kraft mac and cheese apple pie flavor, many declaring this invention should go straight to hell. One person said, quote, "I love how they put while supplies last, like these aren't going to end up on sale out of desperation to get rid of them." Another person replied, "I'm pregnant and into eating weird stuff, so I'll take one for the team. I'll try it."
Well, and that goes back. We talked about this too. The mac and cheese flavored ice cream that came out like last year.
So wrong.
It's all about shoulda, not coulda with these things. All right.
Yeah. And I think this one says it all. Person responding to the apple pie mac and cheese. Is this rage bait? Are you just trying to make us all angry? Is that what this is?
When asked for comment from a priest, if there is a God, he said, "This is not what he intended with us."
Exactly not.
It is just. I mean, there is no version where I eat this, and there's no version where I'm happy someone brings it to Thanksgiving, even as like, I'll try it. No.
That wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Thank you, Craig and Calvin, and all of our engineers and everyone at Civic Media, because without you, nothing works. And thank you, Traffic. You guys are saints.
Yes.
And thank you, most of all, for calling and texting and watching on the stream and for listening. It means the world. I hope you find some joy and you have the chance to share it. Join us tomorrow. We will be live from 9 until 11. Be safe on the roads.
Yes.
Have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And keep it right here. We have news coming up next on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you in the morning.